I'd say, thanks, Riv. I hope we can see Jin too. Now, let's talk about CLG versus TSM. Ruined, Kobe. Ruined.
Oh, it can't have just been a romance thing? You guys finished
Give me my chocolates back. No.
Love-hate relationship.
It really is. There's a lot of... But that's what makes it so great. Anyway, talking about this game.
And you'll be here for every step.
CLG. Okay. You know, this did look like the cleanest win for TSM.
Oh, yeah.
As Doublelift said, though, everyone just kind of played well, right? I want to get your guys' opinion on what was working, what changed for TSM that made it look so clean, because that's not necessarily the most reassuring statement when a player on the team says, well, everyone just started playing well today.
I mean, we say like this is the cleanest game that we've seen from this TSM lineup. This also might be the cleanest game that we've ever seen in a TSM versus CLG game.
That's
usually these games are extremely close. This was a complete blowout. There were maybe a couple of very minor mistakes from TSM, and that's about it. We saw everything that people expected when you see this all-star team forming for TSM. Bjergsen gets his solo kill. Hauntser's a beast in the top lane.
At level 5, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, well, yeah. But Hauntzer is a monster in the top lane. He's proven himself.
Yeah.
People were talking about when they brought him in. That was the only question mark. Hauntzer has definitely been a monster. Probably top two North American.
He's an exclamation point now. He's not a
Exactly.
question mark anymore.
Right up there with HuHi. But also, you know, the bottom lane, there were a lot of questions about Yellowstar working with Doublelift, and they pulled that off a lot better this time as well. And that really shows with a kalista Alistar combo.
Yep.
Yes, that is the golden combo to have for the bottom lane, but they played it well.
Yeah, those are the three things that I really want to touch on. The first one is CLG first picking the Ryze really gives away a lot of what they intend to do with this comp, because then they have to draft wave clear, and then they have to draft engage later on. And then the kalista Alistar going over to TSM, very good pickups there. I think that gave them all the tools and the confidence they needed in the bottom lane. And then the solo kill. That's the third thing, is that solo kill opened up mid lane and gave them priority in the jungle. So Svenkeren can live inside of Xmithie's jungle, stop all of his pressure, take all of his buffs, control his movements, because Bjergsen is always able to lock down HuHi, and he beats him to these fights that happen later.
Everyone in the North American LCS, when Bjergsen gets that solo kill, pre-level 6, has this alarm that goes off in their mind like, oh God, it's gonna be one of those Bjergsen games. Oh, what do we do? Everybody has to play a little more cautiously now.
Yep.
And you're right, Svenkeren also stepping up, didn't really touch on him, but man, the jungle invading, you could see where his mind was at. He wanted to play that more aggressive style like we've seen successful junglers like Peanut in Korea, and even in the North American LCS with Russia and Reignover, constantly invading and trying to steal away camps, to steal away the strength of Aegis stacks from your opponent and really keep them down. The execution was a little off with some of those last hits, but you could see the idea there, and TSM kept up with that game plan.
Yeah, it is kind of a synergistic thing, because if your mid laner's doing well, that enables you to make these plays and go into the jungle, which then frees up your mid laner. So it's just the start off of that cycle was that solo kill that we saw.
Now I want to approach from CLG's side, because they had a pretty easy game 1 against TSM this season. Now they come into this game, as you mentioned, they showed their hand, picking the Ryze first. Interesting prioritization when the likes of Kalista and Alistar up. And you're looking at the bot lane going, Stixxay, Aphromoo should be jumping at those two champions. They don't take them. And then, once we get into the game, they don't lane swap either, right? So a lot of the things that we would normally look at CLG for that they excel in, lane swaps, having Alistar on, or having Aphromoo on a playmaking support. Granted, he does fantastic things on Morgana, but like setting them up for success and him being kind of the leader in that arena, they didn't do any of those things here. It felt like they almost handicapped themselves coming right out of Champion Select with their game plan.
Yeah, Aphromoos Morgana has been great. Even yesterday it was spectacular. But as you said, it all kind of started, you know, early on in the draft phase. It felt like they were maybe not expecting Ryze to be up, and then jumped on it very quickly, and maybe they were a little off kilter, or maybe they were experimenting. They had this Ashe pocket weird build with the Essence Reaver into Hurricane that they wanted to try out and shoot millions of arrows everywhere, but it did kind of end up feeling like right at the beginning of the game, CLG didn't quite have the clear game plan that we expect from them.
I think you experiment in scrims and then you play what you know how to play on stage. I feel like that's always kind of a bad formula, is when you come into this with something that is rather untested.
Yeah, it's what you would hope. I do want to pull up a replay. Pretty early on in the game, about 16 minutes, down in the bot lane, TSM, Yellowstar making a pretty large engagement here. A flash head by Pulverize. Hey, team, follow up on this, please.
Yeah.
They do so, though.
I mean, yeah, so it is kind of a situation where you talked about, you pointed out, you know, Svenkeren and Doublelift were kind of on board with this call, and just had started to turn back, but the teleport came in a little late also, so it ended up working out because CLG collapsed.
Yeah, but look at how much earlier Bjergsen is able to get into this fight. He's already helped Hauntzer take down Xmithie, and then HuHi's basically his contribution is a gravity field to help disengage at the very end. Because of the mid priority that Bjergsen had, they were able to continue that fight, even though it looked like it may have been turned around at one point, and then they were able to take out Xmithie and just snowball it from that side and come back into it.
Yeah, when you have that lead in the mid lane, all you kind of really need is the spark to get conflict going, and then he can come in and you can try and use that lead.
Yeah, definitely the early lead that they had secured gave them kind of the allowance for, you know, maybe a slight overextension there. But the other flip side of it, again, if I go back to CLG, I think the weird thing there is that they even did collapse or re-engage, right? They had the opportunity to walk away under that inner turret and make it a 0-for-0 trade, and instead it becomes a 3-for-0.
And this is the team that we all have been praising for their, team coordination, and they're all about the lane swap, and they're all about the team play, and this just had a bunch of question marks in both of those categories for them this game.
Yeah, so an interesting role reversal in this game. CLG now coming out with a few question marks, and TSM definitely looking a little bit more certain.
As you said, exclamation
in what
point.
they do. Right, yeah, exactly. Well, Hauntzer's an exclamation point. CLG is now a question mark. That's our conclusion for the day. We'll watch for stray Heartseeker arrows over the break because we'll need you at full health for our next match, Immortals versus Cloud9. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.